Hey everyone, my name is Anthony Fellows and welcome to Chosen. Today I'm going to be talking about why good people suffer. This is a question I've heard a lot about recently, so I'm going to be talking about the story of Job and original sin. But before that, here's today's goal. Today I encourage you to look at your problems with a different perspective. I know sometimes we can get caught up in self-pity and wonder why does this have to happen to us? But with God in our lives, our problems aren't going to destroy us. They're going to make us stronger. So face your problems with hope. Look forward to the future and not back to the past. That's not the direction you're going in. God has great plans for us. We just have to be willing to accept them. One question a lot of people struggle with is why do good people suffer? It just doesn't seem fair for someone who's led a really good life to go through something terrible. But when we look at the situation differently, we can see that it's not God punishing that person. It's God making that person stronger. The book of Job really tackles this question, so I'm going to read a little bit of the first chapter so you get to know about Job, and then I'll tell you the story and what happens from there. In the land of Uz, there was a blameless and upright man named Job, who feared God and avoided evil. 7 sons and 3 daughters were born to him, and he had 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, 500 she-asses, and a great number of work animals, so that he was greater than any of the men of the east. Job was a very wealthy man, but he was also very pious. He had a great faith and he avoided evil at all costs. He had a lot of children and a lot of wealth, and So one day, I'm going to read a little bit of this so you get to know how the story of Job came about. One day, when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, Satan also came among them. And the Lord said to Satan, "Whence do you come?" or "Where do you come from?" Then Satan answered the Lord and said, "From roaming the earth and patrolling it." And the Lord said to Satan, "Have you noticed my servant Job, and that there is no one on earth like him, blameless and upright, fearing God and avoiding evil?" But Satan answered the Lord and said, "Is it for nothing that Job is God-fearing? Have you not surrounded him and his family and all that he has with your protection? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his livestock are spread over the land. But now put forth your hand and touch anything that he has, and surely he will blaspheme you to your face." And the Lord said to Satan, "Behold, all that he has is in your power, only do not lay a hand upon his person." So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. So there was the sons of God came to present themselves before God, and Satan also came, and God said, "Oh, where do you come from?" And Satan said, "I'm just patrolling the earth, doing my thing." And God said, "Well, have you seen my servant Job? He's a very faithful man, and he's very pious." And Satan said, "The only reason he's faithful and pious is because you've blessed him with such great things." And so God said, "Okay, well, go take everything away from him except for his life, and we'll see if he still follows and believes in me." So these messengers started coming to Job, and they were telling him how these people came and took all of his livestock, and then this great wind came down and knocked over his oldest son's house and killed all of Job's children. And then it says that Job began to tear his cloak and cut off his hair, and he said, "Naked I came forth from my mother's womb, and naked shall I go back again. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." In all this, Job did not sin, nor did he say anything disrespectful of God. So after the first attempt, Satan failed. Job never lost his faith. Job never gave up on God. Job still was blessing the name of God. Even after his children were killed, all of his livestock were taken away. But then there was a second. The second chapter starts with the second trial. And it says, "Once again the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them. And the Lord said to Satan, 'Whence do you come?' And Satan answered the Lord and said, 'From roaming the earth and patrolling it.' And the Lord said to Satan, 'Have you noticed my servant Job, and that there is no one on earth like him, faultless and upright, fearing God and avoiding evil? He still holds fast to his innocence, although you incited me against him to ruin him without cause.' And Satan answered the Lord and said, 'Skin for skin, all that a man has will he give for his life. But now put forth your hand and touch his bone and his flesh, and surely he will blaspheme you to your face.' And the Lord said to Satan, 'He is in your power, only spare his life.' So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord, and smote Job with severe boils from the soles of his feet to the crown of his head. And he took a potsherd to scrape himself, as he sat among the ashes. Then his wife said to him, 'Are you still holding to your innocence? Curse God and die.' But he said to her, 'Are you even going to speak as senseless women do? We accept good things from God, and should we not accept evil?' Through all this, Job said nothing sinful." So even after Job's health was in jeopardy, he was still living, just he was cursed with these terrible boils all over his body. but he still never lost his faith. Even his wife was like, come on, are you kidding me? Like, curse God and die already. But he said he didn't do anything sinful. He never cursed God through all of this. But then 3 of his friends came. 3 of Job's friends heard about all the bad things that were happening to him. So they came to visit him, and they told him that he must have done something wrong. He must have committed some kind of terrible sin, that God would be punishing him like this. But Job knew that he didn't sin. Job knew he was innocent, so he remained that innocence and never cursed God through any of his trials. And this is basically where the story of Job ends. The rest of it is these speeches, which I'll hopefully get into in another future video. But as of right now, this is what really tackles the question why good people suffer. God doesn't make the storms, but he uses them to make us stronger. So we should live our lives like Job and never lose faith in God even when times get really rough. I mean, he lost his children, he lost all of his wealth, he was sitting naked on a pile of ashes with terrible boils, and he still never lost faith in God. He never even questioned God. He knew that God was doing this for God as well as God. As soon as God could give him things, God could take them away, and he knew that. And he knew that it wasn't because he did something wrong. He kept his faith in God, which I think is really important. But suffering is also a part of life, whether you're a good person or a bad person, or whether you follow God or not. Suffering is going to happen to every one of us, and before original sin, people weren't going to have to suffer, because it says in the Bible that people weren't going to have to feel pain during childbirth, or feel pain while working hard to make a living, or any physical or emotional pain people weren't going to feel until original sin happened. And after that, that's when people began to feel these emotional and physical pains, and those were what led to our sufferings, and that's what our suffering is. After original sin, suffering is going to happen to everybody. So it's a part of life, but I mean, there's different ways to look at it, obviously. You can look at it with self-pity, and you can feel bad for yourself, and you can feel really down and let it hurt you. Or you could look at it like Job did and let it make you stronger. You can turn to God and ask him to help you during these storms, to look on the bright side. There's hope for the future. With God, there's hope and joy all the time. God's not going to leave you during these storms. He's here to make you stronger. He's not here to hurt you. So like I said in today's goal, take some time to pray with God, to talk to God, and ask him to change your perspective of your sufferings. Look at them with hope and realize that the future is so bright. Everyone's future is so bright. We just gotta hold on to God's promises and run with him, and he's going to fulfill his promises. He's not going to hurt you. His plans are amazing. We don't even know half of it. We don't know any of it yet, to be honest. We know what's going on now, but his plans, we don't. They could go as far. Sky's the limit with God. I mean, really, it's amazing his plans for us. But we just gotta look at our sufferings with a smile on our face and realize that this is gonna make me stronger. This is part of life. Suffering's a part of life, but when I have God in my life, I can look at these sufferings and say, this isn't gonna hurt me. This is gonna make me a better person in the long run, and I know this is part of God's plan. So today, make sure you live like Job. Thank you for watching Chosen. Make sure you subscribe to us here on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and there is a Chosen Ministry app and website coming soon, so stay tuned for that.